Good morning. I'm reading from the book of Job this morning, chapter 38. And so far, Job and his friends have had this discussion. And basically, it's Job saying, I don't know why this is happening. And his friends saying, it's because of your sin. And now God's going to talk. And so he's not going to give answers to their questions, though. He's going to ask a whole bunch more questions that are really going to end the conversation. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? That basically sums up Job's friends and all of their great speeches. They don't know what they're talking about. Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, answer thou me. Man up, I'm going to ask you some questions. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Well, none of them were there. They can't answer that question. No one saw that. It wasn't observed. Verse 8, Or who shut up the sea with doors when it brake forth, as if it had issued out of a womb? Well, nobody can answer that question. Nobody was there. They didn't observe that. Verse 12, Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the dayspring to know his place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, and the wicked might be shaken out of it? Did you boys cause the sun to come up? No. No, sir, we did not. Verse 19, Where's the way where light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where's the place thereof? By the way, the wrong answer is the sun, because light existed before God created the sun. So where is the way of this? Well, we don't know, Lord. We have no idea. And science cannot answer this question. Verse 21, Knowest thou it because thou wast then born? Or because the number of thy days is great? Were you here? Did you observe these things? No, Lord, we were not. Verse 25, Who hath divided a watercourse for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, or the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth? Can you boys cause it to rain? And they say, No, Lord, we can't. Nor do we really understand how all this works. It's amazing. We see the clouds, we see the evaporation, we see the condensation, we see all these things taking place. We can measure them, we can observe them, but at the end of the day, we can't cause it to rain. Verse 31, Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? The Pleiades are a springtime constellation. Orion, that's a fall and wintertime constellation. So what God is saying is he says, can you cause Orion to rise and make it the fall and the winter of the year? No, Lord, we can't affect the seasons. Can you bring out the springtime? No, Lord, as bad as we want winter to end sometimes, we can't make that happen. He says, how about Mazzaroth? Can you bring it forth in its season? Mazzaroth is the great wheel in the sky that each section goes forth. It's what the Hebrew word for the different houses of what's now called the zodiac. Can you cause that, which basically is the progression of the year as the stars move? And he says, can you do those things? No, Lord. He says, canst thou, verse 35, send lightnings that they may go and say unto thee, here we are. No, Lord, we can't cause lightning to come. Verse 36, who hath put wisdom in the inward parts, or who hath given understanding to the heart? You, Lord. That's the answer. That's the answer. And as you go through this, you just see, as God he says, hey, do you know where I keep the snow and the hail? No, Lord, we have no idea. We don't know where that is. Do you know that I can use hail in a time of war, God says? Do you know that I swaddled the oceans like a baby? Do you know that I blocked back the oceans so they can only go so far? He just continues he brings them to the creation, to the cosmos, and all of these things, and they just stop, and they have no choice but to say, God, you're God, and we are so tiny in the midst of all of this. And we can't answer any of these questions. And by the way, we still can't thousands of years later. We don't have the answers to these questions because we're small, we're tiny, we're little, and God is huge, and he's awesome, and he's great. And sometimes we don't have answers to the why questions of life. And sometimes what we need to do is just walk outside and look at God's creation and the majesty of it and say, you're God. And we're not. God bless you. Have a great day.